agreement, and the reason I left it in there is because of the concerns that a lot of the council members have raised about we're doing this so rapidly. We want to make sure that we've covered everything. Now, I have a very fertile imagination in mind. There are other potential consultant services that you might want that would be very small and fall within the jurisdiction authority of the city manager, which you really have to go out and do another contract to make sure PERS is happy. Or could we rely on this and say, you know, for instance, if you wanted John to attend a meeting with ABAG to explain something, and John says, well, wait a minute, I don't want to jeopardize my standing with PERS. For instance, can we assign it? And by the way, the fee is negotiated, it could be zero. If he were called back as a witness in the Sweetie matter, for instance, as to what the building inspectors told him, I think that he would come back as a witness. But if he came back as an expert witness, which the last part of that is to cover, we have set forth a number that we. And by the way, if we employed him back as an expert witness, we want to be sure that we pointed out to PERS we're not employing him as an employee. We would be bringing him back as a witness, and you know, he's been here for a year. There could be other weird things. This probably will never be used. It's in there as kind of a space holder in case something comes up.
Well, I can see it for a follow-on because there will be things that come up after these 90 days potentially.
But there won't be any contract.
Right, there will be a contract, and that's why, you know, so I thought, well, maybe because it was $7,000 with a not defined per day or whatever fee.
I don't mind
this may be applicable for downstream, but not necessarily for this 90-day period.
This is in there. It's in the standard agreement. It's only to cover contingencies that we don't think of ahead of time. But you wouldn't hurt my feelings if you told me to take it out. It's in there. I think the quicker we put together a contract, the more flexibility I like to see in it, because I don't want to be back here with another special meeting next week or 3 weeks or 2 months from now going, oops, we didn't think of this. And if we can shoehorn something in to a general provision and keep us from having another meeting and another need to explain and spend staff time getting one of these things put together. I just thought that was leaving it in as a standard paragraph, because it is. And the bottom part of that, by the way, came to me from John, and he got it in discussions, I think, with a council member. So. Yeah. And so I added that, the last part of that.
No, I think it's, I just see that as an afterward item.
It probably is, and it probably has nothing to do with this, and it probably would be something separate.
I think it's very appropriate for a follow-on. If we have a vehicle that we can then use later, after this 90-day period, it might be okay, but then you're going to have some sort of extension in the contract. That's my point. Okay. Any other council comments before we take public comment? Any public comment on this contract for Mr. Danielson and the scope of services? Okay, seeing none, then we'll come back. I believe Councilmember Dobby had a motion he'd like to make.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve this contract with the amendments that our city attorney has made, and the amendments that will make sure this contract satisfies all the requirements of CalPERS.
Second. Okay, we have a motion on the table.
And a second.
And a second, so I guess all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
And Mr. Bear, I'm sorry I was talking with Councilmember McKeithen, but it did include the scope that I read.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. These are the amendments that you said you were making.
And we will add in the weekly report as a concept as well.
Right. Okay. That concludes our business here for this special meeting. I have a motion to conclude.
Motion to adjourn.
John.
So, second.
Okay.
Aye.
Thank you.